Hello everybody, day 10 of shelter. It's a beautiful, peaceful Sunday and the weather's definitely starting to turn a little bit. It's getting cooler here and it's been a good day. So I thought I'd today start the discussion around recognizing patterns. And, we are human beings that are habit animals, and our brains are wired to form and follow recurring patterns. And recurring patterns is a really important part of us from an emotional intelligence point of view, learning to understand a lot more about ourselves in terms of recognizing where we go when we're feeling a certain emotion, thinking a certain way, and where it is that we go with that. So a typical example of that might be that I'm bored, so I'll open the fridge and just eat. And that is an automatic response to a boredom within myself, and that's not necessarily true for me. It's just a really good example. But you would automatically open the fridge and start eating. Or after a meal at night, you might automatically just start to nibble on crisps or sweets or savories or whatever it is, and becoming very aware of of doing that is hugely important to one's growth. So why would the brain do this? Because our brains are amazingly sophisticated and we do millions of complex tasks every single day to be efficient with the complexity. So our brains create small routines and patterns and uses them over and over and over. So our brains are automators. And we learn a response and our brain stores it and repeats it rapidly and automatically. So this saves a lot of energy and it frees us to focus on other matters. And of course, this efficiency is comforting to the brain, so we repeat the reaction. So to increase efficiency, our brain will reuse old patterns, even if a situation isn't exactly the same as an old situation. So it's like an autopilot, sometimes with an inadequate map. And the challenge then for us is to make sure that those recurring functions are not actually moving in a way that actually is not our intention within that situation. So because patterns are all about efficiency and comfort, when you're in distress, we need to realize that the brain is actually more desperate for comfort and efficiency. So we're more likely to follow old patterns. So when we start to rewire the brain, it is very possible for us to start to shift our behaviors with new awareness. So if I know that a specific behavior in somebody else triggers me, I know where I would normally go. And obviously you want to be thinking about typical places like fight, flight, and freeze. So you're either running from the situation, you're engaging with the situation, or you're hiding from the situation. And it's generally one of those three areas that you would go into. So it's really good for you to become aware of what's going on for you around your patterns. So I'm going to look at a couple of examples for you so that you can try to just get your head around it in the form of a concept. So when somebody's criticizing you, where do you generally go thinking about those three areas? Would you disappear? Would you just pull back and try and become a little bit invisible? Or would you distance yourself from them and not talk to them anymore? Or would you actually move in towards it and tell them that they're wrong, or engage in a helpful way to try and overcome the situation? When you are busy with somebody who's very competitive, does that shut you down? Do you try and run and escape, or do you get quite hostile towards them? When you're feeling low on energy, do you put your head down and hope that it ends? Do you quit, or do you blame others? What's happening for you? So a pattern for me, if I could think about it practically, I know that when I'm tired, I need to really manage myself well. because what happens when I'm tired is I'm less tolerant of other people's situations, and I don't always manage myself as well as I could. So a pattern recognition for me would be, Sharon, become really aware of yourself when you know that you're tired, because you're going to have to manage yourself a lot better. And if I don't manage myself better, what would happen is I would automatically fall into an old pattern, which is not necessarily helpful for me. So remember, not all patterns are bad for us. Some patterns are really good for us, and that's your responsibility to check and see what's working for you, what's not working for you. So, you know, if you are, for argument's sake, feeling very lonely, what might you do? Might you comfort yourself by having a lovely bath and a glass of wine, or reading a good book, or phoning a friend, or doing something fun? You know, so patterns are not always bad for us. We just need to engage with them and understand what is going on for us around patterns, and the shifts that one can bring into one's life when we actually recognize what's going on. Because a quote that I love to use when I talk about recognizing patterns is, you know, if we keep doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting what we've always had. So we need to try and do something different. So, you know, if your world is surrounded by drama and a lot of blaming, you know, you might want to start looking at your patterns and look at where that's coming up for you, what the emotions are associated with that, and what's your best, you know, shift in behavior for future. Anyway, that's a quick check-in with you for today. We will see you tomorrow. Stay well.